She went to clean a restaurant and calmed a child. The owner saw it and something in him awoke. Jennifer Parker wiped the sweat from her forehead with the back of her gloved hand as she pushed the cleaning cart down the restaurant hallway. It was her third job of the day and she still had 2 hours left on her shift. The sharp cry of a child echoed from the kitchen, mixing with the clatter of dishes being washed and the irritated voices of the staff. The sound of crying bothered her more than it should have. Jennifer knew that tone of desperation all too well. She had heard it so many times in her own home when her 3-year-old daughter, Emma, spent nights with a fever and she didn't have money for medicine. She left the cart behind and followed the sound, even though she knew it wasn't her responsibility. In the kitchen, she found a baby around 8 months old in the arms of one of the cooks who was rocking the child mechanically while trying to keep working. The little one was crying even harder, clearly inconsolable. "Can I help?" Jennifer asked, stepping closer carefully. The cook, a middle-aged woman named Sarah, sighed in relief. "She hasn't stopped crying since the boss left. We've tried everything, but she only wants her mom." Jennifer held out her arms, and Sarah handed over the baby without hesitation. The moment Jennifer held the little girl, she began humming softly a song that always calmed Emma. Her movements were gentle and rhythmic, as if swaying to an invisible waltz. "Shh, little one," she whispered, lightly kissing the baby's forehead. "Your mama will be back soon." The crying gradually faded into quiet sniffles. The entire kitchen stopped to watch the transformation. Sarah smiled in relief. "How did you do that? She's been crying for over an hour." Jennifer smiled, still rocking the baby gently. "I have a daughter the same age. You pick up a few things along the way." It was then that Michael Thompson, the restaurant owner, appeared in the kitchen doorway. He had come to check on the evening rush and heard the sudden silence where there had been constant crying before. What he saw left him completely still. The cleaning woman he barely noticed during his daily rounds was holding his niece Olivia with a tenderness he hadn't seen since his sister had left to deal with personal matters. Olivia, who had been inconsolable all morning, now rested peacefully in the arms of a stranger. Michael watched silently for a few minutes, studying the woman in front of him. Jennifer couldn't have been more than 28, but there was something in her eyes that revealed a maturity forged by hardship. Her brown hair was tied back in a simple ponytail, and even in her plain cleaning uniform, she carried a natural dignity that struck him. "Olivia never acts like this with strangers," Michael finally spoke. Jennifer turned, startled that she hadn't noticed him. Her eyes met his for a brief moment, before she looked away as she always did when speaking to employers. "I'm sorry, Mr. Thompson, I was just helping. I'll get back to work now." "No need to apologize," Michael replied, stepping closer. "She's been like this for days. Do you have children?" "One daughter," Jennifer said, still swaying Olivia gently. "Emma is 3. Michael nodded, watching as Olivia clutched the cleaner's finger tightly. His niece, who was usually wary of new people, seemed to have found a safe harbor in Jennifer's arms. "My sister had to travel to take care of our mother. She's sick," Michael explained. "Olivia's been with me for a week, but I can't calm her the way you just did." Jennifer heard the vulnerability in his voice. During the 3 months she worked at the restaurant, she always saw him as a controlled and distant man who rarely interacted with the employees beyond necessary professional matters. "Sometimes they just need affection," said Jennifer, handing Olivia back to Michael carefully. The moment the child left Jennifer's arms, the crying started again immediately. Michael tried to mimic the movements he had observed, but Olivia remained fussy. "She really likes you," Michael admitted with a mix of admiration and frustration. "How much longer do you have today?" "I finish at 10, sir." Michael checked the clock. It was only 7 in the evening. Would it be possible for you to stay a little longer? I can pay extra." Jennifer hesitated. She desperately needed the extra money, but she also knew Emma was waiting for her at home with their neighbor, Mrs. Thompson, who looked after her during her night shifts. The 70-year-old woman was kind, but Jennifer knew she shouldn't take advantage of her generosity. "I can stay until 11, she offered, mentally calculating how much time she'd have left to pick up Emma and take her home. "Perfect. Thank you, really. Dear listener, If you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now back to the story. Over the next few hours, Jennifer alternated between her cleaning duties and caring for Olivia whenever the crying started again. Michael watched discreetly, noticing how she could calm the child with a natural ease he envied. Around 9 in the evening, when the restaurant traffic had slowed, Michael approached her again. "Can I ask where you learned to handle children so well?" Jennifer paused from wiping one of the tables and smiled sadly. "Life teaches you, Mr. Thompson. When you have no choice, you learn fast. Call me Michael, please, and I feel there's more to that story." Jennifer hesitated, surprised by the informality. Usually employers kept a strict professional distance. "Emma was born when I was 24. Her father, well, he decided he wasn't ready to be a dad," she said, resuming cleaning the table to avoid his gaze. "Since then, it's just been the two of us." Michael nodded, understanding the weight of her unspoken words. He had grown up in a stable family where nothing was ever lacking, and for the first time, he truly considered the hardships many of his employees faced daily. "It must be hard working so many hours and still raising a young child." "We make it work," Jennifer replied, a hint of wounded pride in her voice. "Emma is a happy and well-cared-for child." "I didn't mean to offend," Michael said quickly. "Actually, I'm impressed. I can barely handle Olivia for a week, and you've been doing it alone for 3 years. Olivia chose that moment to start crying again, from the other side of the kitchen where she was with Sarah. Without a second thought, Jennifer dropped the cleaning cloth and went to the child. "May I?" she asked Sarah, who handed Olivia over with relief. "She only calms down with you," the cook remarked. Jennifer cradled Olivia and began her gentle swaying again. The child settled instantly, clinging to Jennifer's white apron like it was an anchor. "You have a gift," Michael said, watching the scene. "It's not a gift, it's necessity," Jennifer corrected. "When you're a single mother, you learn to make the impossible work." Michael fell silent for a moment, processing her words. There was something about Jennifer's determination that moved him deeply. He had inherited the restaurant from his father and always had everything handed to him, but she was building a life from scratch alone. "Jennifer, can I make you an offer?" She looked at him with suspicion. In her experience, offers from employers were rarely good for workers like her. "What kind of offer?" "My sister will be away for at least 2 months. I need someone to look after Olivia during the day, and you clearly have a special way with her. Would you consider temporary work as a nanny?" Jennifer felt her heart race. The money would be better than her multiple cleaning jobs, but there were complications. "I already work 3 jobs, Mr. Thompson, and I have my own daughter to take care of." "You could bring Emma along. It would be good for Olivia to have another child around." The offer was too tempting to be true, which immediately raised red flags in Jennifer's mind. She had learned to be wary of anything that seemed too good. "I need to think about it," she said, carefully handing Olivia back to Michael. "Of course, no rush. But if you say yes, the pay would be double what you make from all 3 jobs combined." Jennifer nearly dropped the rag she was holding. Double would mean she could finally rent a better apartment for her and Emma, maybe even save some for emergencies. You're serious?" "Absolutely. You saved my evening today and probably many more to come." Olivia started crying again in Michael's arms, reaching out for Jennifer. Michael sighed, defeated. "See? She only wants you." Jennifer took Olivia once more, and peace returned instantly. "I can keep her with me until my shift ends," she offered. "You'd really be saving my life." For the next hour, Jennifer worked with Olivia in her arms, who slept soundly as she finished her tasks. Michael watched, amazed at how easily she balanced everything. When it was time to leave, Jennifer gently woke Olivia and handed her back to Michael. "She'll be fine with you. She just needs patience." "Thank you for everything, Jennifer. Will you think about my offer?" "I will. I need to talk to a few people first." Michael nodded in understanding. "Take all the time you need and thank you again for today." Jennifer packed her cleaning supplies and headed out. On the street, she paused to process everything that had happened. Michael's offer was an incredible opportunity, but she had learned to be cautious about sudden changes. The walk to Mrs. Thompson's house took 15 minutes, and Jennifer used every one to weigh the implications. On one hand, it meant financial stability she'd never had. On the other, relying on a single income would leave her vulnerable if something went wrong. Mrs. Thompson opened the door before Jennifer could knock, as she always did when she heard her coming up the tenement stairs. "Emma's been asleep since 9, the elderly neighbor said. "She asked me several times today when Mommy was coming home." Jennifer felt the familiar ache in her chest whenever she thought about the time she spent away from her daughter. "Thank you, Mrs. Thompson. You're an angel. You seem thoughtful today. Did something happen?" Jennifer hesitated. Mrs. Thompson had become a confidant over the months, but she still struggled to share her hopes before knowing they were realistic. "Maybe a job opportunity. I'm not sure yet if it'll work out." "I hope it does, dear. You deserve good things." Jennifer thanked her and stepped into her tiny one-bedroom apartment. Emma was fast asleep in her bed, her curly hair spread across the pillow. Jennifer sat on the edge of the bed and watched her daughter sleep, as she did every night. If she accepted Michael's proposal, Emma could grow up in a better environment with more opportunities. But what if it was just a temporary illusion? What if Michael changed his mind after getting to know her better? Jennifer spent the night wide awake, weighing the pros and cons. When Emma woke up the next morning, she had already made a decision. "Good morning, sweetheart," said Jennifer, kissing her daughter's forehead. "Mommy, I dreamed you didn't work at night and stayed with me." Jennifer's heart tightened. Emma rarely complained, but Jennifer knew her constant absence affected the girl. "Emma, how would you feel if Mommy changed jobs? Would you stay home more?" "Maybe, yes." Emma smiled, her little face lighting up with hope. "I'd really like that, Mommy." That answer sealed Jennifer's decision. She would call Michael that morning and accept his offer. But when she arrived at the restaurant at 10, she found Michael visibly stressed, pacing back and forth with Olivia crying in his arms. "Jennifer, I'm so glad you came early," he said, relieved. "She cried all night. I didn't sleep a wink." Jennifer took Olivia, who immediately calmed down. "About your offer yesterday, I accept." Michael stopped pacing and looked at her in surprise. "Really? That's wonderful. When can you start?" "I can start tomorrow if you'd like. I just need to sort out a few things with my other jobs." "Perfect. I'll prepare a contract today." Jennifer nodded, but a small voice in her head whispered that things were moving too fast. She decided to ignore it and focus on the opportunity before her. For the rest of the day, Jennifer cared for Olivia between her cleaning tasks, getting familiar with the child's schedule and preferences. Michael watched her work, impressed not only by her way with children, but also by her work ethic. At 5 in the afternoon, as Jennifer was getting ready to leave, Michael approached her with a folder. "The contract," he explained. "Take it home and read it carefully. If you have any questions, we can talk tomorrow." Jennifer took the folder, feeling the weight of the opportunity in her hands. "Thank you, Michael. You don't know how much this means to me." "Actually, I'm the one who should thank you." Olivia was noticeably happier today. On her way home, Jennifer stopped at a small market and bought ingredients to make Emma's favorite dinner. For the first time in months, she could afford something beyond the basics. Mrs. Thompson was waiting with Emma in the tenement's small courtyard when Jennifer arrived. "Mommy?" Emma shouted, running to hug her. "Hi, sweetheart, how was your day?" "I played with the doll Mrs. Thompson gave me." "Look," said Emma, showing a simple but well-kept cloth doll. "How pretty. Did you thank Mrs. Thompson?" "Yes, I did. Mommy, you seem different today." Jennifer smiled. Children had a sharp sense for changes in adults' moods. "Maybe I'm a little happier today." "Why?" "Because things might get better for both of us." That night, after Emma fell asleep, Jennifer read the contract carefully. The terms were better than she'd imagined. A fixed monthly salary, health insurance for her and Emma, and even a clause allowing her to bring her daughter to work. Only one clause bothered her. The contract stipulated a 2-week probation period. If Michael wasn't satisfied with her work during that time, he he could let her go without notice. 2 weeks wasn't much time to prove herself, especially since she was giving up 3 stable jobs for this opportunity. But the risk was worth it if it meant a better life for Emma. Jennifer signed the contract and carefully placed it in the drawer. Tomorrow would mark the beginning of a new chapter in her life. The next morning, Jennifer arrived at the restaurant at 8 o'clock with Emma by her side. The little girl was visibly nervous, clinging to her mother's hand and watching everything with curious eyes. Michael greeted them at the entrance, clearly relieved to see them. "Good morning, Jennifer. And this must be Emma." "Hello," Emma said shyly, hiding behind her mother's legs. "She's a bit shy at first, Jennifer explained. "No problem. Olivia is like that with new people too." Michael led them to a back area of the restaurant that had been set up as a small living space. There were toys, some children's books, and a comfortable sofa where Olivia was sleeping. "I prepared this space for you. I hope it's suitable." Jennifer looked around, impressed. The space was simple but cozy, far better than any place she had worked before. "It's perfect. Thank you. I'll let you get settled. I'll be in the office if you need anything." After Michael left, Jennifer helped Emma get familiar with the surroundings. The little girl quickly took an interest in the toys, especially a set of colorful blocks. "Mommy, can I play?" "Of course, sweetheart. Just don't make too much noise so you don't wake the baby." Olivia woke up shortly after, and Jennifer made the introductions. "Emma, this is Olivia. Olivia, this is Emma, my daughter." Olivia studied Emma with curiosity, while Emma looked back with equal interest. "She's so tiny," Emma remarked. "Yes, she's only 8 months old. Would you like to help me take care of her?" Emma's eyes lit up with responsibility. "I can. I'll be the best helper ever." The first day went even better than Jennifer had hoped. Emma turned out to be wonderful company for Olivia, making her laugh with silly faces and keeping her entertained. The two girls seemed to have formed an instant bond. Michael checked in from time to time to see how things were going, and he always found Olivia happy and content. Jennifer noticed he seemed more relaxed than he had been in previous days. "How did you get her to stop crying during diaper changes?" Michael asked, genuinely curious. "Emma was making funny faces at her," Jennifer replied, smiling. Olivia thought it was hilarious. "Emma seems to have a natural talent for this. She's always wanted a little sibling," Jennifer admitted. "I think she's enjoying the chance to take care of someone smaller." Michael nodded, watching the two girls play together. There was something about the little family dynamic they had created that touched him deeply. The second day started with a minor crisis. Emma woke up with a slight fever, and Jennifer was torn between taking her to the doctor and not missing work on only her second day. "Michael, can I talk to you?" Jennifer asked when he arrived at the restaurant. "Of course. Is something wrong?" Emma woke up with a fever. "Normally I'd take her to the doctor, but I don't want to miss work so soon." Michael looked at Emma, who was sitting on the couch, clearly unwell. "You should take Emma to the doctor. Work can wait." "But the contract says—" "Forget the contract for today. Emma needs medical attention." Jennifer felt immense relief, but also a twinge of worry. What if Michael decided she was too much trouble? "Thank you. I'll take her now and come back as soon as I can." "Don't worry. Olivia and I will manage today." At the clinic, the doctor diagnosed a mild flu and prescribed rest. Jennifer spent the rest of the day caring for Emma at home, but her mind was at the restaurant worrying about Olivia and the impression her absence might leave on Michael. The next morning, Emma was feeling better, and they returned to the restaurant. Jennifer found Michael visibly exhausted, with Olivia crying in his arms. "How was yesterday?" asked Jennifer, immediately taking Olivia. "Tough," admitted Michael. "She cried for hours. I tried everything you taught me, but I couldn't calm her down like you do." Jennifer felt both guilty and validated. On one hand, she hated that Olivia had a difficult day. On the other, it confirmed how valuable her work truly was. "I'm sorry. How's Emma today?" "Much better, thanks for asking." The rest of the first week passed without major incidents. Jennifer established an efficient routine that kept both Olivia and Emma happy and occupied. Michael began trusting her judgment more, asking for advice on childcare matters. At the end of the first week, Michael called her for a private conversation. "How are you feeling about the job so far?" "Very good. Olivia is a sweet child, and Emma loves having company." "And you? Are you adjusting to the routine?" Jennifer hesitated. The truth was, for the first time in years, she felt hopeful about the future, but she was still afraid to show too much enthusiasm. "I'm really enjoying it. I hope I'm meeting your expectations." "More than meeting," Michael assured her. "Olivia has never been happier. You have a real gift for this." Jennifer smiled, feeling deep relief. "Thank you. That means a lot to hear. Actually, I'm thinking of making the position permanent if you're interested." Jennifer's heart raced. A permanent job would mean real stability, something she'd never experienced. "I'd love that." "Great. I'll have a new contract ready next week." That evening, Jennifer went home feeling more optimistic than she had in years. She told Emma about the possibility of the job becoming permanent, and the girl was thrilled. "Does that mean we can play with Olivia every day?" "Yes, it does, sweetheart." "And you won't have to work nights anymore?" "No more night shifts." Emma jumped for joy, hugging Jennifer tightly. Best news ever. But Jennifer's happiness would be tested in the second week. On Monday morning, when she arrived at the restaurant, she found Michael in a tense conversation with an elegant woman in her 40s. "Jennifer, this is Catherine, my ex-fiancée," said Michael, clearly uncomfortable. Catherine looked Jennifer up and down with a calculating gaze. "So you're the new nanny," she said, her tone sweet yet condescending. "Yes, I'm Jennifer," she replied, politely extending her hand. Catherine shook it briefly, as if doing her a favor. "Michael told me about you. How interesting that he hired someone with no formal experience." Jennifer felt her cheeks flush, but kept her composure. "I have experience with my own daughter and a genuine love for children." Of course, Catherine said with a fake smile. "I'm sure you're doing your best." Michael quickly intervened. "Catherine came to see Olivia. Jennifer, could you bring her?" Jennifer nodded and went to get Olivia, who had just woken up. When she returned with the child in her arms, Olivia was smiling and babbling happily. "How adorable," said Catherine, holding out her arms. "Come to Auntie." Olivia eyed Catherine warily and clung tighter to Jennifer, hiding her face in her shoulder. "She's shy right now," Jennifer explained diplomatically. "Let me try." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. Jennifer tried to hand Olivia over to Catherine, but the child started crying immediately. Catherine held her for a few seconds before handing her back to Jennifer with irritation. "She's too spoiled," Catherine remarked. "Children need to learn to be around different people." "Olivia is just cautious with new faces," Jennifer defended. "It's normal for kids her age." "Well, I don't agree with this permissive approach," Catherine replied. "But anyway, it's not my problem." Michael was visibly uncomfortable with the tension in the air. "Catherine, maybe we can talk in private." "Of course, I have some important things to discuss with you." They walked away, leaving Jennifer with Olivia. She tried not to listen, but fragments of their conversation reached her ears. "Don't you think it would be better to have someone with proper training? Just anyone you barely know. Olivia needs stability, not experiments." Jennifer felt her stomach twist. Catherine was clearly trying to convince Michael to fire her, and worse, some of her arguments made practical sense. When the conversation ended and Catherine left, Michael returned with a thoughtful expression that made Jennifer even more nervous. "Can I ask what you talked about?" Jennifer said, trying to keep her tone casual. Michael hesitated before answering. "Catherine has some concerns about, well, the current situation." "What kind of concerns?" "She thinks Olivia would need someone with formal childcare training, someone with certifications and professional references." Jennifer felt like she'd been punched in the gut. "And do you agree with her?" "I don't know, Jennifer. Catherine has some valid points. Olivia is very important to my family." "Of course she is," Jennifer said, struggling to keep her voice steady. "And I love taking care of her. You said yourself she's never been happier." "That's true, but what if something happens? Would you know how to react in a medical emergency? I know basic first aid. I learned when Emma was born, Jennifer replied, but her confidence was shaken. Michael ran a hand through his hair, clearly torn. I'll think about it, okay? For now, we'll keep things as they are. Jennifer nodded, but her world had been upended. For the first time in days, she remembered her position was temporary and fragile. For the rest of the day, she tried to be perfect. She anticipated Olivia's every need, kept the play area spotless, and made sure Emma was on her best behavior. But Michael was distant, lost in thoughts Jennifer feared she understood. That night at home, Jennifer couldn't focus on anything. Emma noticed her worry. "Mommy, are you sad?" "No, sweetheart. I'm just a little tired." "But you look like you do when you're worried about money." Emma's sharp observation nearly made Jennifer cry. Her 3-year-old had learned to read her moods based on the financial struggles they'd always faced. "Maybe I am a little worried," Jennifer admitted, "but it'll be okay. Will we still get to play with Olivia?" "I hope so, sweetheart." The next morning, Jennifer arrived at the restaurant determined to prove her worth. But she found Michael on the phone with someone, jotting down notes. "Yes, I understand. You can email the resume." "Right. Pediatric experience is important. Great, thank you." Jennifer's blood ran cold. Michael was interviewing other people. When he hung up, she pretended not to have heard anything and greeted him normally. "Good morning, Michael. How did Olivia sleep?" "Good morning. She woke up a few times, but nothing major." Michael avoided her gaze, confirming Jennifer's suspicions. He was seriously considering replacing her. During the day, Jennifer watched Michael make more calls when he thought she wasn't paying attention. Each conversation felt like a stab to her heart. In the afternoon, when Olivia was napping and Emma played quietly, Michael approached Jennifer. "Can we talk?" Jennifer nodded, bracing herself for the worst. "Catherine convinced me to at least consider other options," Michael began. "I know this might be painful for you to hear, but I need to think about what's best for Olivia." "Of course," Jennifer managed to say, though her voice trembled. "When will you decide?" "I'm interviewing a few people tomorrow. Can you stay with Olivia during the interviews?" The irony of the situation wasn't lost on Jennifer. He wanted her to care for Olivia while he interviewed her replacement. "Of course," she repeated, because she had no choice. "Jennifer, you understand this has nothing to do with your work, right? You're wonderful with Olivia." "Then why are you replacing me?" Michael sighed. "Because maybe wonderful isn't enough. Maybe Olivia needs someone more qualified." Jennifer nodded and walked away before Michael could see the tears in her eyes. She'd been foolish to believe she'd finally found stability. That night, Jennifer told Emma nothing, but the girl sensed something was wrong. "Mummy, does Olivia not like us anymore?" "Olivia loves us very much, sweetheart. Sometimes adults make complicated choices." "Will we have to go back to our old jobs?" Jennifer hugged Emma, fighting back tears. "Maybe, sweetheart, but we'll be okay, like we always are." The next morning, Jennifer arrived at the restaurant with a heavy heart. Michael had scheduled 3 interviews for that day. The first candidate arrived at 10 in the morning. She was a 50-year-old woman with graying hair and an impeccable professional appearance. "Dr. Margaret Wilson," the woman introduced herself. "I have 20 years of experience in pediatrics and 5 as a specialized nanny." Jennifer immediately felt intimidated. How could she compete with credentials like that? During the interview, Olivia sat in Jennifer's lap, visibly comfortable and happy. But when Michael asked Margaret to hold her, Olivia started crying immediately. "She just needs to get used to me," Margaret said confidently. "With my experience, I know how to handle child resistance." Olivia cried for 10 minutes before Michael handed her back to Jennifer, who calmed her instantly. "Interesting," Margaret remarked. "The child is clearly too dependent on one person. That's not healthy for development." Jennifer bit her tongue to keep from responding. Margaret was criticizing the very bond that had made Olivia so happy these past days. The second candidate, Amanda, arrived at noon. She was younger, 28, and had studied child development in college. I believe in evidence-based approaches, Amanda explained. Structure and strict routines are essential for proper development. When Amanda tried to hold Olivia, the same thing happened. Immediate, inconsolable crying until the child was back in Jennifer's arms. The child needs to learn independence, Amanda diagnosed. This excessive attachment is problematic. The third candidate, Melissa, arrived at 2 in the afternoon. She was 40 and had a gentler approach, but the result was the same. Olivia completely rejected any attempt to be cared for by her. After the interviews, Michael was visibly frustrated. Olivia won't accept any of them, he murmured, more to himself than to Jennifer. Children are intuitive, Jennifer said softly. They sense when someone truly cares for them. Michael looked at her for a long moment. All 3 candidates are extremely qualified on paper. But qualifications on paper don't always translate to a real connection, replied Jennifer. Catherine will be disappointed. And Olivia, how will she take it? Michael didn't answer, but Jennifer saw her question had hit its mark. That afternoon, Catherine showed up at the restaurant to hear the interview results. So, which one did you choose? She asked, completely ignoring Jennifer. None, admitted Michael. Olivia didn't connect with any of the candidates. Catherine looked at Jennifer with obvious irritation. This is her fault, she said, pointing at Jennifer. She made the child too dependent. Now Olivia won't accept anyone else. That's not true, Jennifer defended herself. Olivia accepts other people. She loves playing with Emma, gets along fine with Sarah in the kitchen when needed. She just didn't feel comfortable with people who see her as a job, not a child who needs love. How romantic, Catherine said sarcastically. But love doesn't replace professional knowledge. And professional knowledge doesn't replace genuine care, Jennifer shot back, losing patience. Michael, you need to decide, Catherine pressed. Either you hire someone suitable, or I'll talk to your sister about the situation. The threat hung in the air like a dark cloud. Michael paled. You'd talk to Rebecca about this. If I have to. Olivia is my niece too, and I can't stay quiet while you put her at risk. Jennifer felt as if she'd been stabbed. Catherine had turned her dedication to Olivia into a danger. You're right, Michael finally said. I'll make a decision by tomorrow. Catherine smiled victoriously and left, leaving Michael and Jennifer in tense silence. Jennifer, You don't have to explain, Jennifer interrupted. I understand the position you're in. You don't understand. Catherine has influence over my sister. If she convinces Rebecca that Olivia isn't being properly cared for, you could lose temporary custody of Olivia. Exactly. Jennifer nodded, finally grasping the complexity of the situation. It wasn't just about professional qualifications, it was about family politics and emotional manipulation. What are you going to do? Michael ran his hands through his hair, clearly distressed. I don't know. Catherine's right about the qualifications, but you're right about Olivia being happier with you. What if I got some certifications? Jennifer suggested desperately. I could take first aid classes, child development courses. It would take months, Michael said, and Catherine wants a decision now. Jennifer knew she was losing the battle, but she couldn't give up without a fight. Michael, look at Olivia now. They turned to see Olivia playing on the floor with Emma, both laughing at some game only they understood. Olivia was radiant, completely at ease and happy. She was never like this before you, Michael admitted. In the beginning, she cried constantly. Now she smiles, plays, thrives. Then you know this is the right choice. But what if Catherine follows through on her threat? What if she doesn't? What if it's just manipulation to get her way? Michael considered Jennifer's words. There was truth in them, but the risk was too great. I need time to think. How much time? Until tomorrow morning. Jennifer nodded, knowing this might be her last night as Olivia's nanny. At home, she finally told Emma the truth. Sweetheart, tomorrow might be our last day playing with Olivia. Emma stopped playing with her blocks. Why, Mommy? Some people think it would be better if someone more educated took care of her. But we love Olivia, and she loves us. Sometimes love isn't enough, sweetheart. Emma fell silent for a moment, processing the information. Can I talk to Uncle Michael? Talk about what? that Olivia gets sad without us. Jennifer smiled sadly. If only it were that simple. Tomorrow you can talk to him if you want. The next morning, Jennifer arrived at the restaurant with a mix of hope and resignation. Michael was already there, visibly exhausted, as if he hadn't slept. "Good morning," Jennifer greeted cautiously. "Good morning. Jennifer, I need to tell you something." Jennifer's heart raced. This was the end. "I talked to my sister last night," Michael continued. Jennifer held her breath. "And? I told her everything. About you, about Olivia being happy, about the interviews that didn't work out, about Catherine's pressure." "What did she say?" Michael smiled for the first time in days. "She said she only cares about one thing, Olivia being happy and well cared for, and from our phone conversations, it was clear she's never been better than she is now." Jennifer felt her legs weaken with relief. "Does that mean—" "It means you stay if you want, of course." "Of course I want." At that moment, Emma came running from the play area. "Uncle Michael, can I talk to you?" "Of course, Emma. What do you want to tell me?" "Olivia smiles a lot when she's with Mommy, and I help take care of her too. We're a family now." Michael crouched down to Emma's level. "You really are a family, and I'll do everything to make sure it stays that way." "Really?" Emma asked, her eyes shining. "Really?" Jennifer hugged Emma, feeling as if a huge weight had been lifted from her shoulders. "Thank you, Michael. You don't know how much this means." "Actually, I do. You saved Olivia, and in a way, you saved me too." "How so?" "I was lost, not knowing how to care for her. You showed me you don't need a degree to love a child." Jennifer smiled, but one worry still nagged at her. "What about Catherine?" "Catherine will have to accept my decision. Olivia isn't her daughter, and my sister has made it clear who gets to decide about her care. She won't like it. Probably not, but Catherine has always tried to control my life. Maybe it's time I stop letting her." Just then, Olivia woke from her nap and began searching for Jennifer with her eyes. When she found her, her little face lit up with a radiant smile. "Bee!" Olivia babbled, stretching out her arms. It was the first clear word Olivia had spoken, and she'd chosen a version of Jennifer to say. "Did you hear that?" Michael asked, emotional. "I heard," Jennifer said, scooping Olivia into her arms with tears in her eyes. "I think she made it pretty clear who her favorite person is." For the rest of the morning, the atmosphere in the restaurant was one of quiet celebration. Jennifer worked with renewed confidence, knowing she'd finally found a place where she was valued. But the peace would soon be tested again. Around noon, Catherine showed up at the restaurant with a determined look. "Michael, I need to talk to you. Now." "We can talk right here," Michael said, clearly not wanting a private conversation. "I spoke with Rebecca this morning." Jennifer's stomach twisted. Catherine had made good on her threat. "And?" Michael asked, trying to stay calm. "She told me you mentioned our conversation yesterday." "I did. Rebecca is my sister and Olivia's mother. She had a right to know." "And she said she trusts your decision about who cares for Olivia." Michael nodded. "That's right." Catherine looked visibly frustrated. She hadn't gotten the outcome she wanted. "Well, I hope you don't regret it when something goes wrong." "Nothing will go wrong," Michael said firmly. "Olivia is happy and well cared for. By an unqualified cleaner. For someone who loves Olivia as if she were her own daughter," corrected Michael. Jennifer watched the exchange with growing admiration for Michael. He was finally standing up to Catherine's manipulation. "You've changed," said Catherine, her tone accusatory. "Maybe I've learned to value what truly matters." Catherine glanced around, clearly searching for ammunition for another attack. Her eyes landed on Emma, who was playing peacefully with Olivia. "And what about this?" she asked, pointing at the children. "You're letting some random child play with Olivia. What if she carries some disease?" Jennifer felt anger rising, but before she could respond, Michael stepped forward. "Emma gets regular medical checkups, just like Olivia. And more importantly, she's a wonderful companion for Olivia. That's irresponsible. Irresponsible is trying to separate two children who love each other just because one of them isn't from the right family," Michael shot back. The implication in his words was clear. Catherine was being prejudiced, not protective. "It's not about social class," Catherine said defensively. "No? Then why do none of your objections have anything to do with Olivia's actual well-being?" Catherine was silent for a moment before making one last attempt. "You'll regret this, Michael. And when you do, don't come looking for me." "I won't regret it," Michael said firmly. "And if I regret anything, it'll be taking so long to do what's right." Catherine stormed out of the restaurant in a cloud of indignation, leaving behind a silence that gradually turned to relief. "It's over," Michael said, more to himself than to Jennifer. "Are you sure?" "Absolutely. Catherine has no real power over Olivia, and now my sister knows exactly where things stand." Jennifer nodded, finally allowing herself to believe they had won. "Michael, can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Why did you change your mind? Yesterday you seemed convinced I wasn't the right fit." Michael thought for a moment before answering. "Because I realized I was letting other people decide what was best for Olivia, instead of trusting what I saw with my own eyes." "And what did you see?" "I saw a child who was unhappy turn into a radiant little girl. I saw genuine love where there used to be only professional obligation." Jennifer smiled, feeling validated at last. "And I saw that sometimes the best qualifications come from the heart," Michael concluded. As the afternoon passed, the restaurant's atmosphere returned to normal. Olivia was at her best, playing and laughing with Emma, while Jennifer cared for them both with the tenderness that had won Michael over. Around 5 o'clock, Michael approached Jennifer again. "I have an offer for you." "Another offer?" Jennifer asked with a smile. "This one's final. Would you like a permanent contract? No more probation, no more uncertainty?" "Really? Completely? And there's more?" "More?" "I'd like you to consider living here." Jennifer blinked, confused. "Living here at the restaurant?" "There's an apartment upstairs that's empty. It belonged to the old manager, but he moved out. It has 2 bedrooms, a living room, a kitchen. It'd be perfect for you and Emma." Jennifer was speechless. The offer was more generous than she'd ever dreamed. "I don't know what to say. Rent would be deducted from your salary, but it'd be much less than anything else in the city." "Why are you doing this?" Michael hesitated before answering. "Because you and Emma have become important to us, to Olivia and to me." "Michael, and because it's practical. Olivia would have full-time care, and you wouldn't have to worry about transportation or where to leave Emma when you work late." The proposal made practical sense, but Jennifer felt there was something more in Michael's words. "I need to see the apartment before deciding." "Of course, want to go up now?" Jennifer took both children and followed Michael to a staircase at the back of the restaurant she had never noticed before. The apartment was simple but cozy, with large windows that let in plenty of natural light. "It's perfect," Jennifer sighed, imagining Emma running through the rooms. "So you accept?" "I do, but on one condition." "What?" "I want to pay fair rent. I won't accept charity." Michael smiled. "It's not charity, it's an investment in having the best caregiver Olivia could ever have." "All right, then I accept." Emma ran through the apartment, eagerly exploring every corner. "Mummy, is this going to be our room?" "Yes, sweetheart." "And Olivia will live downstairs?" "She will." "Then we'll always be together." Emma's pure joy was the final push Jennifer needed to be sure she was making the right decision. That night, as she returned to the tenement for the last time, Jennifer told Mrs. Thompson about the move. "How wonderful, dear. You deserve all the happiness in the world. I'll miss you. And I'll miss you both, but we won't lose touch. You'll visit me often." "Always," Jennifer promised. Over the next week, Jennifer and Emma moved into the apartment above the restaurant. The transition was smooth, and soon they settled into a new routine that benefited everyone. Olivia now had full and constant care, Emma had a permanent playmate, and Jennifer finally had the stability she'd always dreamed of. Michael also seemed more at ease, knowing Olivia was in good hands even when work took him away. A month later, Rebecca finally returned from her trip. Jennifer was nervous to meet Olivia's mother, fearing she might disapprove of the arrangements Michael had made. "So, you're the famous Jennifer," Rebecca said warmly when they met. "Olivia won't stop talking about you. She talks about me, constantly. Baba was her first word, and she uses it all the time." Jennifer smiled, touched by the revelation. "She's a special child." "She really is, and from what I see, you're special too. Michael told me everything about how you saved the day when he was lost." "I just did what any mother would do." "No, you did much more than that. You gave unconditional love to a child who wasn't yours and turned a desperate situation into a happy family." Rebecca watched Olivia playing with Emma, the two laughing over some mischief they'd dreamed up. "Look at her," Rebecca said, emotional. "I've never seen her so happy. When I left, she cried constantly. Now she's radiant." "Emma played a big part in that too," Jennifer said. "She and Olivia have a special bond." "I can see that. And what about you and Michael? Have you developed a special bond too?" The question caught Jennifer off guard. She had noticed her relationship with Michael had grown beyond professional, but she hadn't let herself dwell on it. "We work well together," she replied cautiously. Rebecca smiled as if reading between the lines. "I'm sure you do." That afternoon, after Rebecca got to know the routine Jennifer had established with Olivia, she called her brother for a private talk. "Michael, I have to congratulate you." "For what?" "For finding exactly what Olivia needed." "Jennifer is amazing," Michael agreed. "I don't know what we would have done without her." "And you? How do you feel about her?" Michael stopped organizing the papers on his desk. "What do you mean?" "You know what I mean. You're in love with her." Michael sighed. His sister had always been good at reading his emotions. "It's complicated, Rebecca." "Why is it complicated?" "Because she works for me. Because we come from different social classes. Because I don't want her to think I'm taking advantage of the situation." "And do you think she feels something for you?" Michael thought about the small interactions they'd shared, the lingering glances, the way she smiled when he appeared. "Maybe, but it could just be gratitude for the job." "Michael, have you considered simply talking to her about it? What if I'm wrong? What if she feels pressured and wants to leave? What if you're right and wasting time out of fear?" Michael had no answer for his sister's question. Meanwhile, across the restaurant, Jennifer was having similar thoughts. She'd noticed subtle changes in how Michael treated her these past few weeks. He was more attentive, more present, and sometimes she caught him watching her with an expression that went beyond professional appreciation. But Jennifer had learned to be cautious with hope. Michael was kind and respectful to all the staff. Maybe she was misreading his kindness. Besides, there was the practical matter. He was her boss and a successful man, while she was a single mother who'd been a cleaner just weeks ago. The differences between them seemed insurmountable. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now, continuing. 2 weeks after Rebecca's return, the restaurant received an unexpected visitor. A tall, well-dressed man Jennifer didn't recognize, but who clearly knew Michael. "Robert," Michael greeted, embracing the visitor. "What a surprise. I thought I'd stop by to see how you're doing. Heard your life has changed quite a bit lately." Michael glanced at Jennifer, who was playing with the children in the play area. "It has. For the better." "This must be the famous nanny everyone's talking about." "Jennifer is much more than a nanny," Michael corrected. "She saved my sanity." Robert studied Jennifer with interest. "May I meet her?" Michael introduced them, and Robert greeted Jennifer with the formal courtesy she expected from someone of his social standing. "Robert is an old family friend," Michael explained. "He's also a pediatrician." "How interesting," Robert said. "Michael told me you have a natural gift with children. Just love and hands-on experience," Jennifer replied modestly. "Sometimes that's worth more than years of theoretical study," Robert surprised her by saying. "Have you ever considered formalizing your knowledge?" "How do you mean?" "There are specialized courses in child development. With your practical experience, you'd likely excel." Jennifer had never thought about formally studying childcare. It sounds interesting, but I can't afford it. There are scholarship programs, Robert offered. I can help you find information if you're interested. Jennifer looked at Michael, unsure whether to accept. It would be an amazing opportunity, Michael encouraged. You already have the natural talent. Imagine what you could do with formal training too. The idea was tempting, but Jennifer had practical concerns. What about Olivia and Emma? When would I have time to study? Many courses are online or on weekends, Robert explained. And I'm sure Michael would support your studies. Absolutely, Michael confirmed. Anything to make you happy and fulfilled professionally. That night, Jennifer talked to Emma about studying. Are you going to be a doctor like Uncle Robert? Not exactly a doctor, but I'll learn more about taking care of children. You already take such good care of me and Olivia. Thank you, sweetheart. But we can always learn more. And you'll keep taking care of us? Always, my love. Studying will just help me do it even better. The following week, Robert returned with information about study programs. There was a specialization course in child development that offered scholarships to people with proven practical experience. What do you think? Michael asked after Robert explained the details. It sounds amazing, but also scary, Jennifer admitted. Why scary? What if I'm not good enough? What if they find out I don't deserve to be there? Michael looked at her tenderly. Jennifer, you've already shown you have a natural gift. Now it's just about adding formal knowledge to that. Do you really think I should try? I think you should do anything that makes you happy and fulfilled. Michael's answer carried an emotional intensity that made Jennifer wonder again if there was something more in his feelings for her. Okay, I'll apply. Really? Really? If I don't try, I'll never know if I'm capable. Michael smiled, and for the first time, Jennifer noticed pride in his eyes. Not the pride of an employer for a competent employee, but something more personal. The application process was less intimidating than Jennifer had imagined. Robert helped her prepare the documentation, including recommendation letters from Michael and Rebecca that highlighted her natural skills with children. 3 weeks later, Jennifer got the news. She had been accepted into the program with a full scholarship. I did it, she shouted, running to tell Michael. Congratulations, he said, standing up from his desk to hug her. The hug lasted a little longer than would be appropriate between an employer and employee, and when they pulled apart, both were flushed. Sorry, Michael said, stepping back. I got carried away. It's okay, Jennifer replied, trying to hide her own emotion. I did too. Emma, who had witnessed the scene, ran to hug Jennifer's legs. Mommy's going to study. Mommy's going to study. Yes, I am, sweetheart. Olivia, seeing all the excitement, started clapping, even though she didn't understand what was happening. The first semester was challenging for Jennifer. Balancing childcare, online classes at night, and academic work required meticulous organization. Michael proved incredibly understanding, taking on more responsibility with Olivia, when Jennifer needed to study and even helping Emma with her own schoolwork. You don't have to do this, Jennifer said one evening, finding Michael helping Emma draw. I want to, he replied. Emma's an amazing child, and you're working hard to improve your career. It's the least I can do. Why? Jennifer asked, finally gathering the courage to voice the question that had been bothering her for months. Why? What? Why do you care so much? Why are you being so good to us? Michael stopped helping Emma and looked directly at Jennifer. You really don't know? Jennifer's heart raced. I don't. Michael glanced at Emma, who was focused on her drawing, then back at Jennifer. Maybe we should talk about this in private. When? Tonight, after the kids are asleep? Jennifer nodded, feeling a mix of anxiety and anticipation. That night, after putting Olivia and Emma to bed, Jennifer went downstairs to find Michael waiting in the empty dining area. He had prepared tea and set out 2 cups on one of the tables. Thank you, Jennifer said, sitting down hesitantly. Jennifer, I need to tell you something, Michael began, and I hope you don't feel pressured or uncomfortable because of it. What is it? Michael took a deep breath before continuing. I've fallen in love with you. The words hung in the air between them. Jennifer felt as if her heart had stopped for a moment. Michael, I know it's complicated. I know I'm your boss, and that this could create a difficult situation for you. It's not just that, Jennifer said softly. What else? We're from different worlds. You're successful, educated. You have an established family. I'm a single mother who, until a few months ago, was a cleaner. And you think that matters to me? It should matter. To you, to your family, to... Jennifer, Michael interrupted, reaching out to touch her hand. None of that matters. What matters is how I feel when I'm with you. How you light up any room you enter. How you turned Olivia from a sad child into a radiant one. How you're an amazing mother to Emma. Jennifer felt tears forming in her eyes. And you? Michael asked gently. Do you feel anything for me? Jennifer wrestled with herself for a moment before answering. I do, but I'm scared. Scared of what? Of ruining everything. Of losing this job, this stability. Of hurting Emma if things don't work out. And what if they do? Michael asked. What if we're happy together? And what if we're not? Michael gently squeezed her hand. Then we'll face the problems together. As a family. A family? You, me, Emma, Olivia. We're already a family in every way but name. Jennifer looked into Michael's eyes and saw sincerity and genuine love. I need time to think. Take all the time you need, but in the meantime, I want you to know my feelings won't change, no matter what you decide. And if I decide I can't take the risk, then we'll continue as we are. You'll still be the most important person in Olivia's life, and I'll respect your boundaries. The generosity of Michael's offer touched Jennifer deeply. He was declaring himself without pressure, offering love without demanding immediate reciprocation. Thank you for being honest with me, she said. Thank you for not running away, Michael replied with a nervous smile. Jennifer laughed, feeling some of the tension ease. I thought about it for a second. And what made you stay? The fact that maybe I need to be honest with you too. Michael waited patiently. I've fallen in love with you too, Jennifer admitted. But it terrifies me. Why does it terrify you? Because I've never had anything good that lasted, and I don't know if I know how to be loved by someone like you. There's no someone like me, Michael said. There's just me, a man who fell in love with an incredible woman and wants to build a life with her. Jennifer fell silent, processing his words. Can I have time to think? All the time in the world. Over the next week, Jennifer felt torn between fear and hope. Michael kept his word, treating her exactly as before, with no pressure or visible expectations. But Jennifer noticed small changes in herself. She caught herself paying more attention to how Michael interacted with the children, noticing the patience and affection he showed. She observed how he looked at her when he thought she wasn't watching, always with tenderness and admiration. It was Emma who inadvertently helped Jennifer make her decision. Mommy, are you sad? No, sweetheart. Why do you ask? You seem worried. Is it because of your studies? No, my studies are going well. Then is it because of Uncle Michael? The question took Jennifer by surprise. Why would you think that? Because you keep looking at each other but pretend you're not. Emma's sharp observation made Jennifer laugh. And what do you think about that? I think you should stop pretending. Emma, how would you feel if Uncle Michael became more than just our boss? What do you mean? Like someone special to Mommy? Like a father to you? Emma's eyes lit up. A real dad? Maybe, if you wanted. I do. Uncle Michael is kind and plays with me and takes care of Olivia like she's our sister. And what if it doesn't work out? What if we have to leave? Emma thought seriously about the question. Mommy, you always said we have to try good things, even if they're scary. The simple wisdom of her 3-year-old daughter touched Jennifer deeply. Emma was right. She had always taught her daughter to be brave, but she hadn't been brave with her own life. That night, after the children were asleep, Jennifer sought out Michael again. I've thought about our conversation, she said. And I've decided I want to try. Michael's face brightened. Really? Really, but with a few conditions. Name them. First, we take it slow. I don't want Emma getting used to something that might not last. I completely agree. Second, if it doesn't work out, do you promise it won't affect my job or our housing? I promise. In fact, I've already spoken to my lawyer to make sure you have contractual protections no matter what happens between us. Michael's practical consideration impressed Jennifer. You'd already thought of that. I've thought of everything. I want you to feel safe in every way. And third, no rushing. We're not moving in together right away or anything like that. Understood. We'll go at your pace. Jennifer smiled, feeling more confident in her decision. So, how do we start? How about a real date? Just the two of us. What about the kids? Rebecca already offered to watch them whenever we need. She's eager to spend more time with Olivia. You've talked to your sister about us? I have. She fully approves. In fact, she said it was about time I stopped being a coward. Jennifer laughed. Your sister is wise. She is. So, will you have dinner with me tomorrow? I will. The first date was everything Jennifer had dreamed of, but never allowed herself to hope for. Michael took her to a small, cozy restaurant where they talked for hours about their lives, dreams, and fears. I never imagined I'd be here, Jennifer admitted. Here where? On a date with an incredible man, talking about a future that feels possible. Why didn't you imagine it? Because I've always been in survival mode. There was no time or space to dream about romance. And now? Now I feel like maybe I can have it all. A job I love, studies that fulfill me, a happy daughter, and maybe love. Michael reached across the table and took her hand. Not maybe, definitely. You already have all of that. The following months were a time of growth and discovery for everyone. Jennifer continued her studies with even more determination. Michael gradually became a father figure to Emma, and Olivia blossomed with all the attention and love she received. The relationship between Jennifer and Michael developed naturally, without rush or pressure. They shared meals, outings with the kids, and long conversations about the future. Rebecca became a constant presence, delighted to see her brother's happiness and the positive change in Olivia. I've never seen Michael so happy, Rebecca remarked one afternoon as she watched Michael teach Emma to play chess. He does the same for me, Jennifer replied. For all of us. You're a beautiful family, Rebecca said, and Olivia is lucky to have so many people who love her. We're all lucky, Jennifer corrected. 6 months into their relationship, Michael made an unexpected proposal. Jennifer, can I ask you something? Of course. How would you feel if I asked you to marry me? Jennifer nearly dropped the coffee cup she was holding. How I'd feel or whether I'd say yes? Both. Jennifer looked around. Emma was playing with Olivia in the makeshift garden they'd created behind the restaurant. The two children laughed together, completely at ease with each other. I'd be honored, she finally said, and I'd accept. Really? Really? But on one condition. Michael smiled, already accustomed to Jennifer's cautious conditions. What is it? I want you to ask Emma too. What do you mean? You're not just marrying me, you're becoming Emma's father too. She should have a say in this decision. Michael nodded, understanding the wisdom of her request. You're right. And Olivia? Should she be consulted too? Olivia is your niece, but yes, in a way, we're all becoming an official family. That afternoon, Michael gathered both children for a special talk. Emma, Olivia, I need to ask you something very important. The two girls looked at him attentively. How would you feel if I married Emma's mom? Emma jumped for joy. Does that mean you'll be my real daddy? If you want me to be. I do. I've always wanted a daddy. Michael turned to Olivia, who clearly didn't fully grasp the situation, but seemed happy with all the excitement. And you, Olivia, what do you think about having an even bigger family? Olivia clapped her hands and babbled something that sounded like approval. I think we have a consensus, Michael laughed. That evening, Michael made the official proposal. It wasn't elaborate or grand, just sincere and full of love. Jennifer Parker, will you marry me and make the family we already are in our hearts official? Yes, Jennifer answered without hesitation. The wedding was simple, held at their own restaurant with Rebecca, Mrs. Thompson, a few close staff members, and of course the two children who had been the catalyst for the whole story. During the ceremony, when the officiant asked if anyone objected to the union, Emma stood up. "I object," she shouted, causing a moment of panic. "Emma," Jennifer whispered, mortified. "I object to waiting any longer. I want them to be married right now." Emma's response brought laughter and tears of joy from everyone present. After the ceremony, as guests celebrated in the decorated restaurant, Jennifer took a moment to reflect on the journey that had brought her here. 6 months ago, she was a cleaner struggling to survive. Now she was a beloved wife, a college student, a fulfilled mother, and part of a family she had chosen to love. "What are you thinking about?" Michael asked, approaching with 2 glasses of champagne. How life can change completely in such a short time. For the better. Definitely for the better. They watched Emma and Olivia playing together, now officially sisters. "You know what amazes me the most," Jennifer said. "What?" "It all started because I couldn't ignore a child's cry. And I couldn't ignore how you comforted her," Michael added. "Sometimes the biggest changes begin with the smallest acts of kindness. Like agreeing to care for a child who wasn't yours. Like giving someone a chance who didn't have the right qualifications on paper. Like choosing love over fear." Jennifer smiled, raising her glass. "To love over fear." "To love over fear," Michael repeated, clinking his glass with hers. Just then Olivia ran up to them, closely followed by Emma. "Mommy! Daddy!" Emma shouted. Olivia said her first full sentence. "What did she say?" Jennifer asked, crouching to the children's level. Olivia looked at Jennifer and Michael with bright eyes and said clearly, "My family." There were no more perfect words to end that perfect day. 2 years later, Jennifer graduated from her specialization course with honors. Michael was in the audience with Emma, now 5, and Olivia, 2.5, both cheering enthusiastically when her name was called. "Mommy is the smartest," shouted Emma proudly. "Beautiful Mommy," added Olivia, who was now speaking in full sentences. After graduation, Jennifer received an offer to work at a child development center that was opening in town. The opportunity would mean expanding her work beyond Olivia, helping other families facing challenges similar to those she had overcome. "You should take it," encouraged Michael when she shared the opportunity. "But what about Olivia?" "Olivia will be fine. She's 3 now. She can attend a preschool in the mornings and stay with me in the afternoons. And you'll be doing something you've always dreamed of." "What if I miss our current arrangement?" "Then we go back to it. But I think you'd regret it if you didn't try." Jennifer accepted the position and quickly excelled in her new role. Her personal experiences, combined with her formal training, made her especially effective in helping families in vulnerable situations. One day, 5 years after that first meeting at the restaurant, Jennifer was in her office when she received an unexpected call. "Jennifer? It's Sarah from the restaurant kitchen." "Hi, Sarah. How are you?" "I'm fine, but I need your help." "Remember when I told you about my granddaughter?" "I do, the little one your daughter is raising alone?" "Exactly. Well, my daughter is going through a really tough time. She lost her job and is considering putting the baby up for adoption because she can't take care of her." Jennifer's heart tightened, remembering her own moments of despair. "What can I do to help? Could you talk to her? Show her it's possible to overcome these challenges?" "Of course. When can she meet me?" 2 days later, Jennifer sat across from a 22-year-old named Amber, who held a 6-month-old baby in her arms. The situation was painfully familiar. "I can't do this anymore," said Amber, tears streaming down her face. "I don't have money for diapers, barely enough for food. She deserves a better family." "I know exactly how you feel," Jennifer said gently. "I've been in the same place. But you made it. My grandma told me your story." "I did, but not alone, and not right away. It took time, help, and a lot of hard decisions." Do you think I should try harder? I think you should know there are options besides adoption. Resources, assistance programs, people willing to support you. Over the next hour, Jennifer explained all the resources available for single mothers, government programs Amber didn't know about, and opportunities for work and education. "You do all this for me?" asked Amber, disbelieving. "But you don't even know me." "I don't know you, but I know your situation. And I remember how it felt when someone gave me a chance when I needed it most." Jennifer became Amber's mentor, helping her secure a job at the center where she worked, enroll in vocational training, and build a support network for her daughter's care. 6 months later, Amber had stabilized financially and built a sustainable life for herself and her child. "How can I ever thank you for everything you've done?" Amber asked during one of their talks. "By doing the same for someone else when you get the chance," Jennifer replied. And so began a cycle of support that spread through the community. Inspired by her own experience, Jennifer created an informal mentorship program for struggling single mothers, always remembering that small acts of kindness could completely transform lives. One evening, after a particularly rewarding day at work, Jennifer came home to find Michael preparing dinner while Emma helped Olivia with a puzzle. "How was your day?" Michael asked, kissing her cheek. "Wonderful. Today, one of the mothers I've been helping landed her first stable job. And how do you feel knowing you're changing lives?" Jennifer looked around her home, taking in her happy, close-knit family, and smiled. "Grateful. So grateful for learning that sometimes the courage to accept help is the first step toward being able to help others. And I'm grateful you had the courage to comfort a crying child that day," said Michael. "It feels like another lifetime." "It was. That was our old life. This is our life now, built on love, trust, and second chances." Emma ran up to them just then. "Mom, Dad," Olivia finished the puzzle all by herself. "That's amazing," said Jennifer, crouching down to hug Olivia. "We're the happiest family in the world," declared Emma. "We really are," Michael agreed, wrapping his arms around all three of them. That night, after the kids had gone to bed, Jennifer and Michael sat on the porch of their new home. They'd moved to a bigger place when Jennifer started her new job. "You know what still amazes me about our story," said Michael. "What?" "That it all started with you just being yourself, not trying to impress anyone, not pretending to be someone you weren't, just being a kind person who cared about a child, and you being a good enough man to recognize that kindness matters more than any diploma. Do you think our girls will learn these lessons?" "I hope so. I want them to know it's not where you come from that matters, but where you're going. And that true love sees potential where others only see struggles." "They have the best role models," Michael said, holding Jennifer's hand. "We all do," Jennifer corrected. "Because we've learned together that family isn't defined by blood, but by the daily choice to love and care for each other." Years later, when Emma was in college studying education, inspired by her mother's journey, and Olivia had grown into a confident, compassionate young woman, Jennifer often reflected on how one simple moment of compassion had transformed not just her life, but so many others. The mentorship program she'd started informally had grown into an official city organization, helping hundreds of families over the years. Every success story was a reminder of the transformative power of unconditional love and the importance of giving people the chance to show their true potential. Michael continued running the restaurant, which became known not just for its great food, but for its policy of hiring people who needed second chances. Many of his employees were single mothers, recovering addicts, or young people with no work experience who just needed someone to believe in them. One afternoon, 20 years after that first encounter, Jennifer was organizing files in her office when she found an old photo. Her, much younger and visibly exhausted, holding baby Olivia while Emma played at her feet. "What a beautiful picture," a voice said behind her. Jennifer turned to see Olivia, now a 28-year-old woman, pregnant with her first child. "This was taken right after I started caring for you," Jennifer explained. "Can I see?" Olivia asked, sitting beside Jennifer. "Of course." Olivia studied the photo for a long moment. "You look so young, and so determined." "I was terrified," Jennifer admitted. I didn't know if I was making the right choices. But you were. How can you be so sure? Olivia smiled and placed a hand on her belly. Because when my baby is born, I'll raise them with the same values you taught me. That family is about love, not blood. That kindness is the most powerful force in the world. And that everyone deserves a second chance. Jennifer felt tears welling up in her eyes. You've learned well. I had the best teacher. At that moment, Emma walked into the office with her own 2-year-old daughter in her arms. Grandma Jen, the little girl shouted, stretching out her arms. Jennifer scooped up her granddaughter, marveling at how life had come full circle. How was school today, Professor Emma? Olivia asked. Wonderful. I have a new student whose parents are going through a tough time. I remembered everything you taught me about seeing the potential in every child. And what did you do? I offered free tutoring and connected the family with the resources Mom always uses to help other families. Jennifer smiled, seeing her own life philosophy being passed to the next generation. You two make me so proud. We learned from the best, said Emma. Actually, we all learned together, Jennifer corrected. And we're still learning. That evening, during family dinner, now including Emma and Olivia's spouses and their children, Michael raised a toast. To the woman who turned tears in a restaurant into a beautiful family, a thriving business, and a stronger community. It wasn't just me, Jennifer protested. It was all of us together. True, Michael agreed. But you had the courage to take the first step, to choose love over fear, hope over despair. And you all had the courage to join me on that journey. Jennifer's little granddaughter, who had been playing with her food, suddenly lifted her juice cup and shouted, "Family!" Everyone laughed and echoed the toast, "To family!" After dinner, when everyone had left and the children were asleep, Jennifer and Michael sat on their favorite porch watching the stars. Any regrets? Michael asked, a question that had become tradition between them over the years. None, Jennifer replied without hesitation. And you? Just one. Jennifer looked at him surprised. What? That it took me so long to gather the courage to tell you I was in love. Jennifer laughed, but that time gave us the chance to build a solid foundation first. True. Maybe everything happened exactly as it should have. Definitely as it should. They sat in comfortable silence for a few minutes, each lost in thought. Jennifer? Yes? Thank you for being brave that day. Thank you for seeing something special in me when I could barely see it in myself. I always saw it, from the very beginning. And I'll always love you for that. Forever? Forever and a day. Jennifer looked at the house where her family slept peacefully, at the garden where so many memories had been made, at the life she'd built from one simple moment of compassion. 20 years ago, she was a desperate cleaner who couldn't ignore a child's cry. Today, she was a beloved wife, proud mother, devoted grandmother, respected professional and mentor to dozens of families. The journey had been long, full of challenges and uncertainties, but every hardship had been a step towards something better. Every moment of doubt had been overcome by the courage to keep trying, and it all began because she chose to answer a child's cry with love instead of indifference. Jennifer smiled, knowing her story was proof that the most powerful miracles start with the simplest acts of human kindness. The end. This story shows us that sometimes the greatest transformations begin with small acts of kindness and love. What did you think of Jennifer and Michael's journey? Share your thoughts in the comments about how love can blossom in the most unexpected places. We'd love to read your reflections on this heartwarming tale. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more heartwarming stories.